Hello and welcome back to the Dispatch. I'm Tom Gandley. Let's open up the Dispatch now and see what we've got. In South Korea, dozens of warplanes were scrambled, including the F-35s, ultra-modern U.S. warplanes, after 180 North Korean jets were launched in an apparent show of force in response to recent naval exercises involving the U.S., South Korea, and other allies. The 180 North Korean fighters remained in their fly zones, but that nation also fired approximately 30 ballistic missiles in the previous 2 days, according to CBS News. That included an ICBM, which had Japanese citizens running for cover. In Ukraine, Russian forces are under assault in the occupied city of Kherson. According to the Associated Press, Russian authorities have fled Kherson along with thousands of citizens. Vladimir Putin has said there is no nuclear option in the war with Ukraine. However, he also stated that Russia is considering targeting of Western satellites that might be aiding the Ukrainian effort. Elsewhere in the Ukraine, Russian forces have repeatedly attacked the energy infrastructure, causing great concern with the approach of winter. According to the New York Post, the Biden administration thought it had a secret deal to keep oil flowing into December after the midterm elections so as to hopefully allow Democrats to hold on to Congress. Back in July, when Biden visited the Mideast, he is now known to have begged Saudis not to cut production of oil in order to keep gas prices lower and his job approval higher. Biden at that time stated the trip was only to deal with regional politics, not gasoline prices. Biden has stated that Saudi Arabia would face consequences for their oil cuts, but as of now, no consequences have been dealt out or even mentioned by the administration. In the economy, could a recession not be as close as we think? The GDP grew in the third quarter after 2 consecutive negative quarters, but interest rates are at a point now very restrictive for homebuyers, with mortgage rates near 7%. This is leading to decreased home sales and housing starts. Auto sales are also down, and even though unemployment is low at 3.7%, economists are still pessimistic of the year to come as inflation continues upward. The Fed has recently upped their rates by another 0.75 points in an attempt to rein it in. This is a Carter-esque vicious cycle that mimics the late 1970s. With midterm elections oh so close, citizens' biggest concerns, according to recent Fox News polling, are the economy, specifically inflation and lagging wages, crime rising at huge rates in primarily Democrat-run cities, who have degraded their law enforcement departments and contemptuously stripped their police of qualified immunity for performing their duties. Soros-appointed DAs are more interested in wokeism and restorative justice, which allows vicious criminals to walk free to commit more crime and victimize peaceful citizens with their cash-free bail policies and defund the police initiatives. Voters, well aware of this, are giving the GOP a 2.5% advantage over Democrats nationwide, as Biden's job approval languishes at about 42%. According to RealClearPolitics.com, the GOP is expected to easily retake the House and pick up 4 seats in the Senate. Statewide races, which would reverse many Democrat gains in recent years, are also a certainty. Despite all this dire news, Joe Biden remains optimistic about the midterm outcomes Tuesday, claims he's not buying the consistent bad polling, and is feeling really good about Dems holding the House and Senate. Okay, whatever.
I know.
The strange incident involving the break-in at the Pelosi's palatial San Francisco home just gets, in the words of Alice, curiouser and curiouser. It now appears that the criminal who allegedly assaulted Paul Pelosi, David Wayne DePape, who is a Canadian citizen and in the United States illegally, was in the home when, according to an initial NBC News report, the 82-year-old Pelosi actually opened the door for police and did not immediately declare he was in any danger. Security cameras picked up DePape on video and saw him with a large bag. A security officer even heard banging and a door window was smashed, but the security officer never called the police. This occurred around 2 o'clock in the morning, and according to initial NBC reports, DePape was alone in the home with Nancy Pelosi's husband for nearly 30 minutes. Lots of time, one would imagine, to wreak havoc, but the assault on Paul Pelosi only seems to have happened after cops arrived. Pelosi was not the only intended target of DePape, as he had a list of potential victims. Nancy Pelosi was not home at the time. DePape faces up to 50 years in prison if convicted on all charges. NBC deleted this initial report from YouTube and its publication using the nebulous, unspecific criticism that it, quote, didn't meet its journalistic standards, unquote, whatever that means to NBC. And just in case you missed it, a recent Guardian article by Oliver Holmes broke the news of a remarkable death in Iran recently. 94-year-old Amir Haji passed away in southern Iran and had the nickname the world's dirtiest man. He lived in a cinder block shack on the outskirts of the city of Delga and ate whatever he could find, usually roadkill and bugs, and he smoked a pipe using horse and donkey turds as tobacco. Haji believed, fittingly, that cleanliness would make him ill and reportedly had not bathed with soap and water for decades, claiming trauma from an earlier bathing experience. Haji died after being talked into and taking his first bath in over 60 years. Now, that leaves the new heir to the title World's Dirtiest Man to an Indian man named Kailash Singh, who was not bathed for the relatively amateurish length of time of only about 30 years. Singh rejected water in favor of what he calls a fire bath nightly. During that ritual, Singh lights a bonfire, smokes copious amounts of marijuana, and stands on one leg praying to Shiva. According to him, he does this to aid in removing, quote, all the problems confronting the nation, unquote, as per a report in the Hindustan Times. I hope it's working for them. Maybe we can get someone to follow suit here in the U.S. We certainly need somebody like that. What do you think, Brad? I bet we'd have a few volunteers. Anyway, thank you for listening to The Dispatch. I'm Tom Gandley. Technical assistance has been provided by the adorable Brad Neufeld. Please continue to follow podcasts on Resilience Talk Network for uplifting stories and interviews on overcoming life's adversities and trials.